Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dissecting Fiction podcast. I'm Vinny Murphy.
I'm Christiaan.
And I'm going to throw Christiaan off. I'm going to throw him a curveball right now. This is a little bonus episode we're doing. We have been doing we just did the Kevin Smith episode. And while I was watching some Kevin Smith films and another special television show, I had a realization that we don't have a Viewaskew universe, but we have a Viewaskew Multiverse.
Okay.
So I mean, like the easy ones, right? What is the first thing that comes to mind to you if I say that there's a multiverse? I think there's an easy one.
DC.
Okay, so you have DC, right? But you have Clerks animated, so because that's not in continuity with the other movies. It's very like all over the place. Has like cartoon Leonardo, like as your Mr. Burns.
Yeah. He never shows up in any of the other films. That is true. Not even as a reference.
So you really have so now you have these sort of like two defined timelines, but it gets even screwier than this. Because in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, they established that Kevin Smith exists in the Viewaskew universe, right?
Right.
And he's kind of like an exaggerated version of Kevin Smith, but it's never really explained how he got famous.
Okay.
So presumably this Kevin Smith created all these other movies that maybe are like parallels to the movies that we saw, right? That universe is Kevin Smith.
Well, they do have Cop Out because I remember them making fun of Cop Out in the reboot.
Right, so maybe that's a time focal point. It's like a Doctor Who thing where like that has to happen in every timeline.
Okay.
Cop Out has to happen in every timeline. Then on Degrassi: The Next Generation, Kevin Smith shows up to shoot another Jay and Silent Bob movie called Jay and Silent Bob Go Canadian A. Ah, shit, did I get that? I'm going to cut. Hold on. I think that's what it is. I screwed up a little bit. All right.
Okay.
So on Degrassi, we get another alternate version of Kevin Smith where he goes to Degrassi to shoot his film Jay and Silent Bob Go Canadian A with the kids from the Degrassi school, and then shows up as a side character throughout a couple of other appearances. This is a different Kevin Smith than our Kevin Smith because this Kevin Smith isn't married and doesn't have any kids. Also, Jay becomes a director in that timeline. So we have another alternate version of Kevin Smith floating around like in this multiverse. Now I know what you're at. I know what you're thinking right now. Jay and Silent Bob also show up in Scream 3. But that to me just means that Scream takes place in the regular Viewaskew universe. What do you think?
Well, how would you know Scream 3 takes place in that universe? I mean, for all we know, Jay and Silent Bob could be like dunces that accidentally time traveling. Who knows? Like, they get so high all the time. Like, who says they can't get so high that they accidentally like ascend to a different dimension?
You're right. Or what if like Jay and Silent Bob are like Superman in the DC multiverse where every universe has its own Jay and Silent Bob?
Yeah, that's entirely possible, but we haven't seen like other multiverse versions of Jay and Silent Bob. You would expect like an evil Jay and an evil Silent Bob.
I think we just wrote his next movie. I think we just did.
Like, you would think that, right? Like multiverse versions of all these other like Jay and Silent Bobs, but we have not seen any of them. Like, what about a Talkie Bob?
Yeah, there's all sorts. We could have like Chibi Jay and Silent Bob somewhere.
But like they're incredibly consistent, so they might be like a dark side constant. Every universe has a dark side.
This is getting very, very complicated.
But it does seem there's a clear continuity between like Clerks 1, 2, the reboots, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and Zack and Miri, right?
Right. That's all the regular. That's like your Earth 1. That's like Viewaskew Universe Earth 1.
Right.
And my argument, I think Scream takes place in the Viewaskew universe. I think it's on that same Earth because there's nothing barring that. It's a bunch of, you know what it is? It's a bunch of young people talking about movies all the time and then having those movies affect them. It's totally in the universe.
So would 1 and 2 be in the same universe then?
Yeah, no, it's all, like Scream is taking place in the same world as Clerks.
That would make sense because they are aesthetically similar.
They're aesthetically similar. It's the same generation. It lines up. It lines up.
Kevin Smith has some answering to do about this timeline.
I'm going to tag him when we post these. I'm going to see if there are any answers to this multiverse that he's created unintentionally.
Well, have they appeared on the Smodcast at all?
Have Jay and Silent Bob themselves appeared on Smodcast?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't even think how many episodes we have to go through.
It's because if they're in the podcast too, then that also opens up a bunch of questions. Like, would the podcast be in the Jay and Silent Bob universe, in the School of You universe? Because we do know.
Are Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes just the vessels for Jay and Silent Bob in our universe?
That's possible too. And then what about the true Canadian North?
We need a Crisis on Infinite Viewaskew universes to sort this out. But yeah, no,
that's the timeline straight.
Yeah, we gotta get this straight. So that's what I wanted to surprise Christiaan with after we just did like an hour and a half of recording for a Kevin Smith podcast. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give us some good ratings. This is going to be one of our shorter ones. We got a lot of backlog content. We're about to start doing a little more on the website too. We're going to do top 20s for 2020 over the rest of the year. I know we're breaking our one rule. That's what made us break our 1 year rule, was the year 2020 and sitting here a lot. So we're going to do some top 20s. These will be personal top 20s. We're not going to say things are best. We're going to say favorite, because writing a top 20 list and trying to be completely objective is not possible. As we say every episode, these are tough times on a lot of independent businesses. Check out toystoreguide.com. We want to keep these comic book shops and toy stores open as long as possible and keep those people fed and clothed.
Yeah. If you've been eyeing anything, if you've been waiting to get that check and you got it, check it. See if you can't spend it on some cool, like, I don't know, action figure or something. Help these stores out too a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be that's what stimulus is supposed to do. Let's do it. But we're available on all social media. You can type in Dissecting Fiction into Google. You're gonna find us. Don't worry. Most major podcast platforms, but you probably already knew that. My name is Vinny Murphy.
I'm Christiaan Kutlick.
And we'll see you soon.